today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me go here. So just let me know in the chat, can you hear me? Can you see my screen? I've got the chat open, so I'll be able to know for sure that you can hear me and see my screen. I also have some captions going down here at the bottom with my Google Slides workaround. So if you've been with me in the past, you know how that goes. And you might even be able to see up here at the top of the screen, because today we are talking about favorite apps that I'm going to toggle back and forth a couple times out on my Chrome browser as we talk and chat together today. So thank you, those of you who jumped into the chat to let me know that you can hear me and see my screen. So this session is all about favorite apps to use with Book Creator. And I am just so excited for today's topic and to have you all join in today. Welcome, welcome. So many of you are shared in the chat where you're joining in from, whether it is Portugal or Croatia, whether you're jumping in from New Orleans, from Pennsylvania, from Vermont, all over today. I am joining you from the East Coast, right outside of New York City. So you'll see at the top of my screen, it is 3:01 local time as I do my screen share today. If we haven't connected before, if we haven't met before, my name is Monica Burns. I'm an ed tech and curriculum consultant. I'm a former New York City public school teacher. I sometimes point over my shoulder because New York City is that way from where I am standing here in my office. And I am a book creator ambassador. So if you followed along with me on Instagram or Twitter at Class Tech Tips, or you've been to my website, classtechtips.com, you know I am a big fan of creation in the classroom and all things book creator. So as we get ready to jump into our conversation today, a couple logistical things to make sure that you know so that we are ready to dive in. We are going to start off today with a quick overview of Book Creator. If you are new to Book Creator, you are in the right place. If you are a Book Creator Pro, you are in the right place. I'm so excited for you to be here. We'll talk about setting up students for success when there is some app smashing or jumping between different apps taking place. So we're going to look at some favorite apps. You can get a sneak peek if you look really closely at the top of my screen. And we're going to go through some workflow tips. When I use the term workflow today, it's really just about the logistics. Like, how are we actually going to do this? How do you actually put these different pieces of content together? So you'll hear me use that term workflow. And because we're talking about workflow, you're going to see a lot of it in action as I do some live demoing for you this afternoon. Now, a couple things just to make sure you're good to go. If you have questions throughout the session today, you have two different places you can go to ask them. You can place them in the chat. You might want to use the drop down that says panelists and attendees, especially if you have a question you think other people might have or might appreciate knowing that you're wondering too. So you can always put questions in the chat. Catherine from Book Creator is here today and ready to answer questions. Even if I'm talking about something and you have kind of another wondering, feel free to put it there. Or you can use the Q&A widget, which should be at the top or the bottom of your Zoom screen, your Zoom navigation. Now, I am using Google Slides in the background of my presentation with you today so that you can have this live captioning at the bottom of the screen. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And I know that it can be helpful if you're listening in today and would like to have that live for us. If it's distracting to you, just come out of Zoom's full screen mode and scoot your screen down a little bit and it'll cut it off right there and you won't have to watch or follow along. So before we jump in and get started from today, I'd love to share a poll question with you, kind of learn a little bit about how familiar you are with Book Creator and how are you using Book Creator. So you can tell me about your experience using Book Creator, if you are a Book Creator Pro, if you're an ambassador like me, if you're totally new to it, you can let me know in the chat. And I'm also going to launch a poll and so that you can let us know which version of Book Creator or which way you're using Book Creator too. So you can share in the chat or you can share in the poll or you can do both. So let's take just another moment or two to share. Welcome, welcome. I see we have a book creator ambassador here in the chat. Welcome, Mira. Excited to have you here joining live. The poll is up if you are with us live today too, so you can go ahead and share in there. And of course, if you're watching the recording of this, the folks at Book Creator have an awesome YouTube channel where they post all sorts of things for you to take a look at, including webinars after they are finished. Go up there too. So if you're jumping into this on YouTube, you of course could just share as a comment underneath the video, or of course you could reach out at Book Creator app on social, or to me on social at Class Tech Tips too. So excited for you all to be here to share. I see Christopher shared in the chat about using Book Creator at the end of last year. So just to share some of the poll results with you, most of you, almost half, are using the free online version. We're going to talk about the online version today. Some of you are using the paid online version. That's actually what I have access to. So when you see me go through some things in my massive library of books, it's because I have the paid online version. But if you're using the free one, you'll be good to go with our topic for today. Some of you are on a school or district plan. Some of you are using the iPad app and totally new to Book Creator, so that is awesome. And if you have questions about the paid online version or a school or district plan, you can always put questions in the chat there too, so to get you just a little bit more information about that. So we're going to talk today about all things Book Creator. You already shared with me the version of Book Creator that you're using. And before we dive into our overview, I just want you to know that in addition to everything we're going to talk about today specific to favorite apps to use with Book Creator, there are lots of remote and classroom learning resources straight from Book Creator's website, including ebook resources. I'll share one special one with you today. Webinars like this one, blog posts. I'll share with you some of the online resources that Book Creator has specific to today's topic. There are templates built into Book Creator, which you'll see me point out. And of course, there's workflows that you can use in remote settings and classroom learning settings that you might want to be on the lookout for today too. So just a quick overview of Book Creator. If you haven't used it before or haven't spent time with it recently, know that Book Creator is an open-ended creation tool for both iOS, meaning iPads, and the web, including the Chrome web browser, which is what we're going to take a look at together today. It gives you and your students an opportunity to create and publish books. I think of Book Creator as a choose your own adventure situation where you can dive in and do all sorts of things within the tool. It is super simple to make interactive pages with different types of voice and videos and text. So many things that you can do there. And of course, you can use Book Creator with all ages. And I'll share some apps to use alongside Book Creator today that go a wide range, K-12 too. So we'll look today at how teachers can create libraries for students. So you'll see me mention libraries and take you out for a live demo. And although we're talking specifically about some favorite apps to use with Book Creator today, there are so many different ways to use this powerful tool, from digital portfolios, poetry books, step-by-step guides, you name it. There's just a lot that you can do. And if you have made some things with Book Creator and you want to share it out with the group, feel free to place it in the chat there. Or if you have some ideas or apps that I mentioned that you love or I don't mention that you want to make sure people know about, definitely jump into the chat and let us know inside of there. So today's topic is around favorite apps to use with Book Creator, and we're going to start off with a few tips for setting up students for success. Now, the two big categories for setting up students for success today is narrowing down and identifying your intention, like why are we using this other app alongside Book Creator, and then the logistics piece, the how is it going to work. So we're going to start off with thinking through the why or your intention, and then the how this is actually going to work. And we'll keep that conversation going as we look at a few different things right within side of Book Creator. So know that as we're going through, you can put in any questions you have into the Q&A widget here within Zoom. More likely than not, it's at the bottom of your screen, or you can jump into the chat and ask any questions or share there as well. So when it comes to starting with intention. Intention can come from our creation of different tasks or activities. So asking yourself the question like, what do you want your students to know and be able to do this week, this month, this year, can help you with setting an intention. Now, this is kind of a broad question for us today, since those of you who are joining in work in lots of different spaces, different content area, different grade levels, but it really comes back to the what do you want kids to know and be able to do for a unit of study during the course of a week, over a longer term month or semester, and that can help guide some of your decisions. Now, when we look today at these different favorite apps, we're also going to examine some workflows, and I'll give you some workflow or logistical suggestions. So today I'm going to show you how to do all of this on my MacBook. So I'm on my MacBook, but I'm using my Chrome browser. So if you know that you have kids that maybe are going to do some app smashing from apps on their iPad, you'll just want to think about what that looks like for the different ways they might snap a picture and then get it onto a Chromebook or computer. So no one way to do it, but all things to take into consideration. Now, if we're thinking today about your connectivity and when you might have students doing things where they're highly connected to the internet, like we all are today, and moments where they might be more offline, this is an opportunity for you to say, okay, if I know that student connectivity is a little shaky, when we do some app smashing, it might be more about snapping a picture of something students have done on their desk and then pulling that picture into Book Creator. So lots of considerations there. Now, today, when we talk about workflow and some of the different apps you can use alongside Book Creator, you'll also hear me mention some audio and video input tips so that you can be mindful of how students might record their voice, how they might jump on video, and we'll also think about file sharing workflows. So for example, today you're going to see me embed a video into a page from a different app. We want to talk about file sharing and how you can get files from one place to another. Those are the kind of things you'll want to be mindful of for your own environment. So as we're thinking today about intentional app smashing, you can use the different apps that we look at or any other favorites to give students choice, to give them some options on how they might share their learning. Book Creator is an open-ended creation tool, which means you might have some students work in one space first and then import or add in images or recordings or videos. And it really gives you an opportunity to make the most of extra features. So Book Creator has so many great features within it. But if you're looking to do something really specific and you need another tool to make it happen, it often works really side by side very nicely. This is also a great opportunity to create portfolios of student work. So if you are having students create in lots of different places with different apps, you might have them bring all of those pieces together into a book within Book Creator for a student portfolio as well. So as we talk today about these different apps, it's more than just a hack, right? It's really giving you an opportunity to bring student work together in one place or combine student work from a bunch of different places into one book. And of course, we're thinking a little bit more techie today, but as you already heard me mention, especially if your connectivity isn't always consistent, you might have this be a way to include paper and pencil or analog activities, kids snapping pictures and using Book Creator to capture and reflect on their learning too. So let's take a look at Book Creator and create a book with some of this app smashing in mind. So I'm going to take my seat here and bring you right through these different activities. So as we first want to get set up in Book Creator, we can do that by signing in at app.bookcreator.com. Now I'm already signed in and you do not have to do this, but if you want to do it, you can definitely click on that blue link there. Oh, thanks, Catherine. You got it in there too. You can click on that link and join me here in Book Creator to create, or you can sit back and just watch as I go along with this. So I'm logged in, and when I log in first, I get to my teacher dashboard. Now my dashboard is pretty busy. I probably should go in here and clean it up a little bit, but if I scroll down the bottom, I can create a new library or jump into a library I've already used before. So I'm going to jump into this library to get us started. Now, if you want to create a book to share with your students, or you want to show off this workflow to students, all I have to do is go to New and create a new book. Now, I love the comics, but I'm going to skip them today and use landscape. I also love the templates. If you haven't seen these before, I encourage you to take a look at them. But for the sake of just keeping things simple today and showing off some different apps, I'm going to use the plain book in landscape mode, just because the landscape fills up a little bit more of the screen. So hopefully you'll get to see things a little bit more clearly. So this is where you can go in and create a cover for your book, and you can add all sorts of things to the page. So once you're inside, right, you saw me jump into my library, create a new book, and now I have a blank canvas. There's lots of things you can do once you're in here, but for today, the number one button, the place that I'm going to go to the most for app connections or app smashing, is going to be the plus sign you see here and the import button. So let's go take a look. The plus sign is right here. I'm going to tap on it. And although I love all these other options, the one that we're going to focus on most today is the import button. This is where I can connect things I do in other apps right here within Book Creator pretty seamlessly. Now, when you're here, you're going to notice, right, there's also a couple buttons up here at the top that are kind of like our app smashing. I think that they count for us for today. So I want to show off to you how the Maps button, the File button, and the Drive button, as well as the Embed button, all help us with some app smashing like we're going to look at together today. So as we jump in here, you'll see that the image button is the default. This, of course, allows you to search for images right from within this tool. So let's say I type in something like polar bear. This is going to search through images from Pixabay. So this is our first kind of app that's on our list today. If you're not familiar with Pixabay, I'm going to open it up and another link here for you. This provides you access to some fantastic royalty-free, ready-to-use images. So this is an app smash that's built right here within Book Creator. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. It actually shows you the image link and hit add, and it pops here. So this app smash is actually built right into Book Creator, and I accessed it just like all of them today with the plus sign first, then the import button, and it's the first one right here. Our next app smash that's built right into our favorite apps used with Book Creator is the Google Maps or the Maps button. This allows me to type in any place that I like. I'm going to type in Montauk, New York, and it zooms in to this space right here on Google Maps. I'm actually going to go a little bit further east here, and I can go straight to the lighthouse. I can zoom in a little bit more if I want to. And I can even go into satellite mode, and let's X that out. There it is, the Montauk Lighthouse. Look at those waves whenever this was taken. So this is a Google Maps connection that's built right from within here. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you used the Google Maps integration within Book Creator before? Have you tried this favorite app? Let me know in the chat if this is one that you've used before. You can tell us a project idea if you want to, or you can just give a yes or a thumbs up if you want to. So here's my awesome Google Maps connection. So I see some not yet. So maybe if you have some ideas, you can add them there in the chat too. So I'm going to go to the plus sign, import again. Now the files and the drive are two I'm going to come back to a little bit later. Files is, you guessed it, going to grab something straight from my computer. Drive, you probably guessed it too, is going to connect to my Drive account. So it prompts me to sign in to my Google account, give that permission update or the allow, and then I can just search through here and grab anything that I want to from my Drive. The last option that we're going to look at together with some examples today is the embed. Now, this might be the most popular way to do a app connection with favorite apps with Book Creator. I think it might be a toss-up between files and embed, but you can maybe rule on that before we finish up today. So this is going to be the way that you use the tools inside Book Creator to connect favorite apps. So we looked at all of these on the list, including Google Maps and the connection for embedding. So I want us to try it out and look at some specific examples so you can see the workflow that I use. So if you would like to, again, you don't have to, but if you would like to join in and try some of these out with me, I would love for you to open this up in another browser, another tab on your screen. That way, while we're all together today, you can ask whatever questions come up and we can answer them all together. So if you do want to join us, remember you can scroll up in the Zoom chat or just type in app.bookcreator.com to join us. So let's go ahead into our first category of app connections. And this is the images category. So in this app smash or app connection, the favorite apps we'll look at first are going to be moments when you want to take photos of student work or screenshots from other apps and websites. So this could be a live photo with a live camera, or it could be a screenshot from another tool. In addition to screenshots, we're going to look at how to export some things you do on the web with students as a JPEG or picture file. So we're thinking about images in both the camera, snap a picture, photos that way, screenshots, like I grab a chunk of my screen to get a picture, or I export as a picture file. So all of this is going to fall into this category, and you'll see what I mean as we go through. So first up, let's talk about those photos. The plus sign, and I'm going to first go to a blank page, the plus sign here integrates with the camera built into your device. And I count this as an app as we talk today. So imagine you have some student work. Someone's going to hold something up that they drew or they made. I'll just hold up my phone for the sake of something next to me, right? I'm going to go ahead and take a picture. Use this picture, this awkward webcam selfie, and I'm going to place this here on the page. So using the camera right from within Book Creator, so plus sign and camera is one option for a connection to more of an analog activity where you want kids to share with a photo. The next one that we're going to look at is one where you can take a screenshot or export as a picture file. And this is with Google Drawings. So I'm going to head over to Google Drawings here. You can see here that I can go to Insert. I can add all sorts of shapes to my page. Maybe I'll add in a square or a rectangle right here. If you have students drawing something, a graphic organizer, a visual representation of something, whatever it is that they're doing, they might even use a pen tool to draw, lots of things that they can do. When they are finished with their drawing, and this is true for many tools, they can go to File, and instead of printing it out like we might have in the past, they can go to Download and choose the JPEG, which is a picture file. PNG is also a picture file, but neither of them is wrong. You can use both. I tend to choose JPEG because it's usually a smaller file, so it takes up less space on your computer and it's a little easier to work with. So once you've saved this, this goes into my download folder as an untitled drawing. I'm going to go back over here, and now I'm going to go to the plus sign again, import. And now I'm going to go to Files, and this is going to be in my Downloads folder. It's going to be the last thing that I did. So I'm going to go to List and grab it right here at the top and place it here in the chat or in the page. Now, just like before where my camera was there, this is now my picture, and I can place it here on the page. Now, totally up to you if this is one that grabs your attention or you already use Google Drawing. It gives kids lots of options for things that they can do. Now, remember how I exported this as a JPEG file? You might find that with some of these that have a transparent background, like you want to layer things on top of it, that you do want to go to download as a PNG, so you have a transparent background, but no big deal here. You've got a couple different ways to work with these pictures. Next up is Google Jamboard. I use this all the time, and I would love to hear from you in the chat. Have you tried Google Jamboard? Have you used Google Drawings before? You can let me know in the chat there. Now for this one here, I just have a quick representation, a little graphic that I made. You might have students put different things on here. Yeah, really favorite here. You might have them use the draw tool or to highlight something, right? So they can do all sorts of things within this space. Now, if you want them to add their Jamboard to what they've created inside of Book Creator, there's a few different options. You could have them share a link. So if they will talk more about link sharing in a little bit, they could share a link, or they can go to the three dots here and they can save this frame as an image. So I'm going to go save frame as image, and just like before, it downloads here. So if I go back into Book Creator, I'm going to make a new page, +, import, files, untitled jam. That was what this one was called. Hit open, and it's going to put this picture on my page. So I can move it around here this way. Now, another option that you might want to consider is taking a screenshot. This is also going to be an image. It's just going to be a little bit different. On my computer, I can do Command-Shift-4, and this will allow me to take a screenshot of just a little bit of the screen. Or I can do Command-Shift-5 and gather just this window. You might use another shortcut, or you might have Snagit on your web browser. No wrong way or right way to do this. I just want to introduce some different options for you today. So on this next page, I can go to the +, import files. This one was here on my desktop, and I can go ahead and add in this screenshot from my window here. That's the second screenshot I took, and it's going to place it here on the page. This might come in handy if kids are working within a space that doesn't have a nice export feature like you saw within Jamboard, or you want to show off some of the different things on the screen. So no wrong way to do this, right? Just lots of options. In addition to Google Drawings and Google Jamboard, you might use a graphic design tool like Canva or like Spark Post. With Canva, you can see here, I have a background image here, and you can do this, of course, with a student-made infographic. Maybe they created a collage, totally up to you. And I'm going to go to the download button, and I'm going to either choose PNG or JPEG. Remember how I talked about the quality or the size of the image before? It actually reminds you here about this. I'm going to choose a JPEG, and I'm going to go download. And this is going to save this image again to my download folder. So this is where you might think to yourself, okay, I'm going to have to introduce to students that when they download stuff on their computer, this is where it goes. That way they can easily bring it into their book. So we'll pop back here, and you've seen me do this a couple times, +, import, files. This time I'm jumping back to my download folder, and I'm going to go ahead and add in this image. Now you could do the same thing with Spark Post if you wanted to. So if you've used Spark Post with your students, you know that you can create graphics and you can download and share it with the same workflow, totally up to you. Before we look at the last one on this list, I do want to mention that if you have a photo or image that students have added in, you can tap on it so it's blue around the edges, go to info, and you've got some options on what to do with that image. You can decide that you want to link it out to somewhere else. You can decide you want to layer it as well. So you've got a couple different options. If I right click this, I can also lock the image into place, which means it's not going to move anywhere, but I can always unlock it if I do want to move it somewhere. So a lot of directions you can take this in. Next up after Spark Post is the Math Learning Center. And I don't know, you can let me know in the chat. Have you seen the Math Learning Center before? I'm going to give you the link right here. Have you seen the Math Learning Center before? Let me know if this is one that you have seen. I just put it there in the chat, and this is a favorite. So this has free apps. You can use them on a Chrome web browser or on an iPad, totally up to you, that are great for representing your thinking in the math classroom. This image shows the number pieces app, but you can use any of them to do this. So I'm actually going to go ahead and choose Jamboard and go to Open Web App, which is essentially just the web browser. A Jamboard is great. You can use these faux rubber bands to make different shapes. You can layer the different shapes. You can talk about all sorts of topics or different triangles. You can highlight different things or draw on here, right? Or point to something and label it. Such a favorite. Now, if you go to the share button down here, you have a couple different options. You can save the image. You can copy the link. It's totally up to you. If I save the image, it's going to save it to my computer, and I would go through that same workflow as before. The other option is to copy a link. And then if I go here into my book creator page, let me make a new one here. I could use the plus sign and hyperlink text. So I could put in something like, check out my Jamboard. And then I can go here to the link button and paste in that link and hit save and put it like that. So that's another option. In a moment, I'm going to show you some tools that also use the import and the embed feature. This also allows you to paste in a link, hit confirm, and it gives a little thumbnail. So instead of hyperlinking the text, you could do a thumbnail, and that's going to be essentially the same thing. So this is a great thing to use if you're doing math journals, do now, exit tickets with students, you name it. So would love to hear from you in the chat. Are there other apps that you use that would work this way? What other apps can you use to export an image or take a screenshot of? Has there ever been a time where you've asked kids to take a screenshot of something and share with you, or to download something as an image? Let me know. Mira said the green screen app. Awesome. Absolutely. That's a great one to add to our list. If you have any others, feel free to place them in the chat. I shared a couple of my favorite ones here, but you might have students drawing on another tool and they take a screenshot of something. You might have them use a different type of set of manipulatives, take a screenshot. You might have them use a graphing tool, take a screenshot, or export as an image like these ones. The next category we're going to look at is video and audio. And in these cases, you might have student created movies, you might have audio reflections of student work, or you might decide that you are going to have kids record their voice as a narration or add in music that they've created. So many directions you could go in with something like this. Thanks for sharing that story, Chris, that you shared here in the chat, right? So you can have students do voiceover narrations within Book Reader. So awesome. So let's go ahead back here. I want to show you, I'm going to tap on pages and let you see all the things that we've done here. So you might decide that you want students to use some of the built-in multimedia features within the tool. You might have them record their voice and explain what they did in Jamboard, or use the video tool with the camera to talk about what they did. So there's some features that go along with this audio and video piece already built into Book Reader. But we're going to spend a little bit more time looking at the file option and looking at the embed option today as we look at these next set of tools. So the first one up is Flipgrid. If you've ever done a Flipgrid response, you know that you not only can post it to Flipgrid, but you can share it as a link. So if you grab a link to a Flipgrid response, you are able to plug it into Book Reader. If you look right here, the blue dot right there in the center with the little arrows, that will actually give you an iframe code that you can plug in. So you would go, let's get over to a new page here for these next examples, to the plus sign, import, you would go to embed. You can either drop the Flipgrid link right in here, or you could put the iframe code with those same arrows at the end. No wrong way to do it, just a few different options. You can also embed a YouTube video. So if you take the share link at the bottom of any YouTube videos, this is a science one, you can plug it right into a page. Or if you have students creating their own videos, maybe they're doing it in Seesaw, you can also have them share an item with Book Reader. So if you take a look here at the top of my screen to Seesaw, I have a quick video example, a 2+2. If you click on the three little dots, you can go to share item and you have two links. You have the share link or you have this iframe code. I'm going to copy the iframe code, paste it in here, hit confirm, and now you'll see it's a little bit of a preview, and I can hit add and place this here as well. So you can definitely put it in there too. Brendan, I want to say I haven't tried Flip a Clip with Book Creator side by side, but if you want to try it while we're talking today and kind of let us know, you can tap on the plus sign there, go to import and go to the embed and try pasting in the link there, or try pasting in the iframe code if you've got one. In addition to Seesaw, you might also have a video from a spot like Spark Video. So here's my Spark video. I've got a couple things that I'm working on here. I'm going to go to this project. I'm going to tap on the share button at the top of the screen, and I'm going to grab the link to share this. I'm going to go to publish, and I'm going to copy this link. So if I jump back over here into Book Creator, remember I did the plus sign, import, embed, and then I'm going to paste this link in, hit confirm, and it actually gives me a preview of my video. I'm going to add this and paste it right here on the screen. Now, if you're in a tool like Spark Video that also gives you the option to download, so to save it to your device, you could do that. And then when you're in Book Creator, instead of doing the import and embed, you would go to file and you would just add that file to the page. So that's another option here. A lot of different ways to do this. Now, if you're looking for something that is more audio or music only, you might want to try a tool like Soundtrap. I love Soundtrap. It's a favorite. And I'm going to go here to my Soundtrap library. I'll tell you, and I'll be honest with you that sometimes I have someone help me do my podcast episodes, but sometimes I jump in there and do it. You can see here's a couple that I've been working on. So if you have students who are using this tool, they can export their project and they can download it so that they have a MP3 file. If they have a file, they can then go to the plus sign, import and file, and add their audio to the page. Or if they share it with a link, they of course could place it in here. So different options there too. Christopher asked about the difference between using a link to a video or a website as opposed to embedding it. So this one you can see here, I embedded it. If I go into my preview mode and I click on this video, it'll play it without leaving Creator. If I go and click on a link, it will open up a new window. So that's the big difference when we talk about embedding and linking. Great question. Now, as we keep moving through and I share a few more resources with you before we finish up today, I'd love to hear from you. What other apps can you use if you're going to export an audio or video file? I shared with you Soundtrap, Spark Video I shared with you. You might use YouTube as a link or Flipgrid. What other apps might you use to export an audio or video file? iMovie, absolutely, right? You might embed, or I should say might upload a full iMovie piece. You might use Screencastify. Yeah, Christopher, I would put Padlet on this list too, right? You could hyperlink or link out to Padlet. Yeah, so lots of different options. I see some more coming through. Keep them coming in here. Now, as we're looking today at embedding these pieces, I want to make sure that you have lots of resources at your fingertips to explore. And so I'm going to share a book with you that's been read over 20,000 times. And this is a book all about embedding content in Book Creator. So I use that word embed a bunch of times, and that's definitely what we're thinking about here. In this book, which I just put the link in the chat there, you can see some more ones some of the ones I mentioned today and a couple extra. So we looked and talked about YouTube and Google Maps. We talked about Soundtrap and Adobe Spark Video. You might want to jump in and use one like Nearpod. So if you wanted to embed a Nearpod, you would log into your Nearpod account. You'd want to make sure that it's student pace so kids can work at their own pace, and you can then add in the link. So if you are using Nearpod and you want to do a student-paced lesson, you might have set up a book creator with different resources. Maybe it's a student-facing book, and you can actually put this interactive piece, embed it right there by grabbing that embed or iframe code like you saw me do with Seesaw today. So this resource, I just put the read.bookcreator link in the chat, will help you explore some more of these options. Another thing I want to make sure you know about, and you saw me use 2 G Suite tools today, is embedding G Suite apps into Book Creator. So this article is going to take you through what I'll show you in just a moment. This one is one of the many fantastic, super helpful support articles that book creators put together. If you have anything in G Suite, you know that you can share it with a link. Now, what you want to make sure you do if you're sharing a book for the whole world to see is that you change any links so that anyone with the link can view that, and you can copy that link and then jump back to your book. So let's go back into edit mode here and I'll show you what I mean. I can go to the plus sign and the text button and I can say something like, oop, there we go. Click here to see my presentation. And I can paste that link in and add it here. Or I can go back to this slide deck, and the steps I'm talking with you now are all in this embedding and book creator support article. I can go to the file button at the top and click on publish to the web. If you haven't used this before, you have some options when you do this so that there is an auto advance of slides. So it makes a slideshow for you. So you can set this up if you'd like to and hit publish. And I'll say, yep, I'm sure. And then I can have this link, or I can go to the embed link. And this would allow me to make some of the same choices and grab this iframe link. I can go to copy, jump back here to my plus sign, import, embed, and paste this right in. So I can go ahead and add this in so that it is good to go right here within my page. And you'll even see that little slides icon there too. The last piece I want to share with you before we kind of open up our last few moments for questions is the ability to embed a book creator book in another book. How wild is that, right? So if you wanted to do that, you can follow the steps here in this support article. Essentially, you are publishing your book online, getting the embed code, and placing it into your space. So for example, I could go ahead here to share this book. Remember, this is the book we were looking at before about embedding. I can go to share this book once it's published, embed on your website, and I could copy this and embed the book. I can also just grab the link at the top of the screen and pull that in too. If you haven't published a book online just yet, when you're in your library, you can go to the share button at the bottom, publish it online, and then you will get that opportunity to get the kind of live link for everyone to see. So today we talked mostly about how students can go in and add different things into their book, or that you might too. But of course, if you are sharing your book to somewhere else, you're kind of app smashing in the other direction, you can share your book creator as a link. So you saw me go through those steps here with the share button, share, publish online. You can download it as an ebook. That's going to give you an EPUB file. Or of course, you could have kids post that link or that file in an LMS or a learning management system that you normally use. So before we turn it over to any lingering questions, and Catherine, let me know if there's anything I missed in the chat or the Q&A box if you want me to address it. Make sure to head over to Book Creator Teachers Facebook group. You can find it by going onto Facebook and just typing in Book Creator, and you'll see that as one of the top things that'll pop up for you. You can always find more resources at Book Creator's website, so just by heading to bookcreator.com. And you'll also find ideas built right into Book Creator on the resources section. And that's right at the top of the bookcreator.com homepage. You'll see a button that says resources. So Jennifer asked, we'll jump to the Q&A slide there. Do you have a version of this webinar for Book Creator for iOS for iPad? It's really great. Well, thank you, Jennifer, for joining in today. I will say that the workflow is very similar when you are using the iPad app. These are the things that you're going to want to look out for. I don't know that there is a recent version of this for favorite apps, but most of these apps that we looked at are going to be friendly for iOS. So what you're really looking to do here is going to the plus sign, heading to import and deciding, am I taking a file from another app or am I taking a link from another app? So for example, where it said files here and I searched through my download folder for those pictures, you would just want to make sure that those pictures were saved to your iPad's photo app or the camera roll on your iPad. See. I'm looking to see what other questions have come in. Can you import PowerPoints into a book? So similar functionality that we looked at today with sharing. So if you are using PowerPoint online and you're sharing it with a link, kind of like how I did with that Healthy Eatings Google slide deck, you would be able to go through that same workflow. So Brendan asked, what's the most important difference between a free and paid version? Why would I want that one, right, as opposed to the other one? So I don't have the pricing link handy. Catherine, if you have that maybe to drop into the chat, that might be useful for Brendan to take a peek at. So perfect. Yeah. So the big difference there in terms of what we looked at today, you saw me mention it when you saw my big library with lots of books, is going to be the number of books that you have access to. For me, that's really the big difference. If you're making a lot of books with your students, you'd want to have that paid version. There's also the collaboration piece, which is one that we didn't talk about today, but I do have a whole webinar on Book Creator's YouTube channel about collaboration that you might want to take a peek at. Michelle asked, can you use Google Earth within Book Creator? So what I shared with you here is the Google Maps piece. If you have a link to something on another space, could be Google Earth, could be somewhere else, you could definitely drop that link in and then it would take someone else to the content somewhere else. Wonderful. Well, we are just past our 3:45 Eastern time. I want to be mindful of all of your time today. I'm going to make sure to share the YouTube link. I saw your question there, Karen, to today's webinar. So if you registered for today, expect an email from me later this week with the link, but you can also just go to Book Creator's YouTube channel and hit subscribe. And that way you'll get a little ping or notification when it goes up. Awesome. Thanks, Catherine, for that link as well. Okay, I will get ready.
Thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll let you, Catherine, kind of finish things up here. I don't know which buttons to press for those extra YouTube things. So
you're good. Yeah. Thank you everyone so much. And thank you, Monica, so much. We really appreciate you. But everyone else, have a great evening or wherever you are, afternoon. We appreciate you all. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone.